has a company called Focused Healthy Family. And what we're going to talk about today is how to manage stress and anxiety while planning for college. And we know as parents, this is a crazy, crazy stressful time. And I just want to let everybody know, if you chime in today, we would love to answer any questions that you have. Don's a wealth of knowledge. He can help out with all the stressors and help you understand them and help you get through them. So Don, will you tell me a little bit about what you do in your practice?
Well, thank you, Kristen. I appreciate being here, and I appreciate the audience that's listening. Um, what I do, and actually, I have a kind of a partner in this. My wife works with me. She's an occupational therapist, but we really help families that are dealing with what we went through. We went through some major anxiety issues, traumatic anxiety issues with my own family. I have two kids that suffer with OCD, and it was really severe. Uh, and so what we went through, we don't want others to have to go through in
Mhm.
dealing with that. So we're what we're doing now is really dealing with families that are dealing with that, showing them how they can get through it, and actually working with the whole family because if one has anxiety, they all suffer from it, and that's why I call it Focused Healthy Family because
Mhm.
it really affects everybody.
It really
So
does, right? It kind
yeah,
of takes over the household
yep,
because everybody's got this focus on helping that person out. So it's important.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's really I work a lot with the mindsets and dealing with the baggage and all that kind of stuff that people are dealing with, and that when we talk about going to college, it's the parents too, as much as the kids going to college that has to deal with the anxiety and the stresses and the stuff. So
Well, and like I always like to tell the parents of my clients, I work with students helping them to figure out a career path after high school. And, there's so much pressure on these
mhm,
kids today. But, one of the things that I always see is, and it's about this time of year that you've got, especially for the ones going off to college, you've got about 7 months of hell. It's because we've got, the kids that are excited, but they're also scared.
mhm,
There's scared that goes on in there. And then on the other side, you've got parents that are scared, but they're excited for
yeah.
their kids. So there's so much emotion going on and, this huge amount of change that happens during this time frame. So tell us what you're seeing in your practice and give us, how we can work through this.
Well, now with my own kids, I have one that has just gotten past his associate's degree and working towards his four-year plan or the continuation. Um, his was pretty smooth in the fact, but he had trouble figuring out exactly what he wanted to do. And he took the same route I did when I was in college. I went to a community college first and got I kind of call it the I don't know if I'd say non-essential, but it's the basic stuff out of the way at an easy place, and then went to the four-year college, and that's kind of what he's doing. But it was a lot of stress on, do I do that or do I go to and am I going to get the grades that are going to make it and all of that? We homeschool, so it was prepping him for that was a little bit easier because we just kind of played it into the whole time that he was doing it in preparation. My next youngest one, she's now 18, going to be 19. She's kind of going away from the college path. She's doing more. She wants to go more on what I would say the trade side of it. She's a dog person, and so she's going to an academy for dog training, becoming certified in dog training, all of that kind of stuff. So it's a whole different path that way. And
Yeah,
there was
well, Don, I love that you bring that up though, because you're showing people too that you can be successful or have a different path. It's not just all college. You
yeah.
know, the community colleges are great, the trade schools are great, and it all depends on what you want as your end goal.
Well, and yeah, and and I think that's where sometimes the some of the stress can come from because the parents have an idea that it's almost like we set up a pattern in our life of, you go to school, you get good grades, you go to college, you get married, you have kids, you got the white picket fence, and we have this, the parent has that in the mind, but that's not the path the child wants. So whose path are we trying to fulfill here? Are the parents living vicariously by their own, what they wanted to do that they didn't get a chance to do? um, so yeah, it was being able to open up and be open to that. It doesn't have to be college. Yeah, I still would like her to go, but I'm not going to fight that bridge necessarily.
I love what you're bringing up on that too, because a lot of parents that I talk to, since this baby was put into their arms, their thought was, well, yeah, they're going to college. I'm going to start saving today.
Yeah.
And to fast forward now to having a high schooler, and that may not be their path. I think parents kind of have to go through a little bit of an adjustment period too and say, that's okay. It really is about the student.
Well,
So,
and so that's what a lot of times when I'm working with families, I actually work with the parents first.
mhm.
And a lot of, the toughest part is a lot of times the parents are like, well, they need the kid fix the child. The child is the problem. And in reality, it's a lot of times their own baggage sometimes that they're carrying that we have to get past so they can be more open to whatever, what the child wants instead of what they want.
Dang it, Don, you're telling us it is their fault. It is our problem that, that our kids are all messed up, right?
Well, it's hard to admit. We do the best we can as parents, and I don't. Very few parents are out there spitefully trying to do stuff. They just have this dream for their child that might be different than the dream of the child, and it has to come to a realization of what does the child want? What is it? What's gonna? Because if they're going there, damn it, because the parents, that's what they want me to do. I have to do that. It isn't going to be as good of an experience for them. It isn't going to be as good an education for them. They really need to go for what passion is theirs.
You're right, because what we're seeing today is that 30% of kids that go off to college don't go back after their freshman year. And I think what you're bringing up is that scenario, that they might have been following that path because somebody else wanted it for them versus them having a clear idea of what that looked like. So now, when all of this stress is going on in the family, how can we as parents navigate through this?
Well, one is being able. One of the big ones for us is communication. Being able to truly listen to the child, to understand, so that they can be able to freely express what they want. If they can't express that they don't want to go to that college, or they don't want to be a lawyer because dad says that's what you should be, a lawyer, they should be able to express that and handle that in being able to communicate with the parents. That people don't understand, and this is, we work very heavily in communication when it comes to a family, how much communication can cause drive anxiety up. I don't think we think about it in any of it, whether it's just with kids or with work or with anything. If we're communicating right, and if we're open to be able to listen and really understand and all of that, it can make things so much easier, and it can really keep anxiety down, keep behavior in a good place. So that's the first thing. But then the other part is really working with them in their own mindset. Like I said, what are they carrying into this? What was their college experience, the parents' college experience like? And are they now, like I said, vicariously trying to live through the child to get what they wanted, that they didn't get? And are
Yes.
are they resenting, this child because they're not they're not following their path instead of the child's path?
So, Don, tell us on the communication side of this. It's not that all of a sudden one day we're not communicating very well with our child, right? This has
Yeah.
been probably an ongoing experience. And not that parents aren't communicating and talking with their child, but maybe because that child now is growing into an adult and they're built to start to pull away
Wow.
from it. Do you have any tips for us to say, okay, if you're feeling this relationship stressed, I mean, what's one thing that we could do just to open up that communication line with our kid?
Well, I'll actually give you two quick ones. One real easy one. And this is going to sound so simple and so, too easy kind of thing. But one of the big things is being able to respond to them in a way that gets them to talk. What we tend to do as parents is we tend to want to throw out real quickly a fix or a solve or an answer versus uh, using what we call it a one word answer, like hmm, or wow, that's interesting. When they come at us with something, being able to just step back and go, okay, so you're really upset, and be quiet and let them talk, because most of the time they just want to get it out. They want to vent it out. They want to, and that helps. So that's one. The other thing is problem solving, brainstorming kind of thing. um, you have an issue of what to do. Let them be part of it. Get them involved by, like I say, we call it problem solving, where you know, okay, you want to go to college. Okay, so let's just sit down, and look at what your thoughts are and what you want to do. Tell you what I'd like to see you do. Let's write them all down. Boom, 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 boom. No matter, even if they sound crazy to the parent or sound crazy to the child, write them down anyway. You know, I want to go to Hawaii to go to college, and they live in Maine, or something, and that's crazy to the parent. Write it down. It doesn't mean you have to do it.
Mhm.
And then go through each one and talk about it. Well,
Yes, and I gotta tell you, when I'm working with a student too on a career path, the same thing happens. If they are thinking that they wanna be a park ranger, you know, we talk through it and they will talk them out of anything that isn't realistic or doesn't make sense, but they have to your point, be able to talk through that on their own.
yeah, well,
Their
and
own
then
decision, right?
yeah, and not and what you don't want to do is rebuttal it, no, that's stupid, going to be a forest ranger, are you kidding me? You don't even like to go in the woods, or something like that, versus, okay, so park ranger, let's think about that, um, what I and using instead of but, you'd like to be a park ranger, but that ain't going to work. No, you'd like to be a park ranger. Well, the problem is blah 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 blah, that that takes a lot. Are you able to, and then just talking through it
Mhm.
instead of just knocking it down because it sounds crazy, so
Yeah, so
yeah.
that is what you talked about first, and that is opening up I loved when you said just, "Hmm," and you just
Yeah.
sit there. And I'll tell you, in business as well as at home being a parent, sometimes it's so hard to sit on your hands and just let it hang out there. But I'll tell you, once you've done it a couple times and you see them opening up, it's pretty amazing.
Well, I always tell this one incident I had. This is back. I was in a different business, and I had a client call me with one of those phone calls where you almost have to pull the phone away. They were just that upset.
Mhm.
We had done something that just, ah, kind of thing. And we went through all that, and I went, "Wow, you're really upset. I'd like to know a little bit more. Can you tell me that?" And it went totally dead on the other line. I had to, like, "Are you still there?" And he came back and he said, "I've never had anybody approach me that way."
Mhm.
And we end up working through it. By the time we were done, we worked out a solution. He was happy and it was done. I was amazed by it, but it was just a simple answer like that, and then I shut up and let him talk. So anyway.
Yeah, and again, with our kids, we're so used to solving their problems. We've been solving problems since they've been a baby,
Yeah.
and no, it doesn't always come naturally. So, I enjoyed your story about starting with them, parents starting with yourself versus it's the kids' problem, because
Yeah.
I do think that, it really does start with us. The tone of the household starts with us. And a lot of times that means it's starting with mom, where she's kind of the calming force, or at least the families that I'm, interacting with, they're kind of the ones that lead the ship a lot when it comes to home life.
Mhm.
And again, I'm a mom, so
Yeah.
a lot of blame for a lot of stuff. But I do think really thinking about how we're approaching our kids is hugely important, and letting them fly at this point. They are getting ready to leave our house, and having these conversations is hugely important.
Well, and the other part, the other, I guess, piece of advice, I guess, would that it's not too late to do this.
Yeah.
It would be nice if we started that pattern of communication, started that pattern of dealing with mind and all of that early. But if we haven't, that doesn't mean it's too late. I mean, I have worked with clients that, they weren't even speaking to their kids, and we worked through it, changed how they responded, changed how they talked, and all that, and did a lot of mind getting clearance in the mind, and getting them back together as a family, back as a talking to each other, having a better relationship. And so it's not too late, even if you're talking about teens, it's not too late to change that. So
Yeah, and I think that's a great place for us to end today. And I did want to let the viewers know that Don and I are actually going to be talking about not only, stress and anxiety for planning for college, but how do we deal with stress and manage that for during the college years and then after. So we've got a whole series for you, and we'd love to have you back. Don's information is scrolling across the bottom, www.focusedhealthyfamily.com. Definitely go out there and contact Don and connect with him there. And of course, you can connect with me at kristenclark.com, and that's scrolling along the bottom as well. So, Don, thank you for joining us today, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the series.
thank you, Kristen. I really appreciate it. It was enjoyable to talk.
Great. Thanks.